Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to have some fun and build a calculator, a simple calculator using Java and Netbeans. So the calculator will look something similar to this one. So I'm going to close this and I have Netbeans open, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to go into File and then I'm going to click on New Project. I'm going to select Java application, click next, name my application calculator app, and apparently I have that project selected, so I'm going to say calculator 1. And next I'm going to click on calculator 1 and I'm going to right click on it, and I want to create a JFrame form, and I'm going to name it calculator frame, and I'm going to click finish. And one of the things that I like about Netbeans, especially when building graphical user interface application, is that Netbeans already has a built-in GUI Builder, which allows you to build graphical interfaces on the fly. Pretty easy, just drag and drop. And so the only thing that you have to do is to code the functionality of the GUI, of the application. And so basically you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because otherwise it will be to manually enter all the buttons and everything in the graphical interface, which is really time consuming. And so that's what I chose Netbeans. So I'm going to make sure I selected the frame form, calculator frame.java. And I want to, on the right hand side, I have the swing container, swing controls, and many other elements that I can add into my interface. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drag a panel on top of my frame, and I'm going to enlarge a little bit, and then I'm going to open the panel right about the same size. Then I want to add a text area, and I'm going to place it at the top. And next I'm going to add the buttons. So if I go back into the application that I built previously, okay, so what I want to do next is to start adding buttons. So I'm going to drag a button and I'm going to place it here. And now I want to format this button the way I want all the buttons to look like. For example, let's say that I want this width and that height. If I want to see the property for that button, I just click on the element. I just click on the element and then I click on properties, and I can see all the properties for that button. For example, I can see the text that button will contain. I can see the width and height. As you can see here, is horizontal size and vertical size, so you can format the button the way you want it. And next, once you have the button, you can duplicate the button. So I'm going to start duplicating the button until I have all the buttons that I need. So I'm going to pause for a second. I will be right back. Okay, so I'm almost done. Notice that the equal button stretches 2 columns, so I'm going to enlarge it to occupy 2 columns, and then I'm going to bring the panel a little bit closer here, and the same with the frame. The good thing about the GUI Builder is that notice how when you move a button or an element, it gives you these lines that allows you to align all the elements with the elements next to it. So that's pretty cool. So that's, I built my graphical calculator in less than a couple of minutes. Next thing, and all of our buttons have the same width and height. Now, notice that up here, we can align, for example, if we select multiple elements, we can align them horizontally, we can align them to the top, we can align them vertically, to the left, so we have some formatting here. We can also preview the design, so if I click preview, this is what my calculator is going to look when I run it. Of course, it's not nearly finished. Also, we have the connection mode. Here we are in the design pane, which is this one here, but we can also go into sources, and that is going to show us, that is going to display the source code for all the elements that we added into the graphical interface, which pretty much are this one here. So let's go back into design mode, and now we're done with the palette. We're done dragging elements into the graphical user interface. So we now are going to open the properties section, and here we need to do a few things. The first thing we are going to do is to change the text display in every single button. So we need to change the default text to display the numbers in operation for the calculator. So I'm going to bring back my calculator as a reference, and then I'm going to click on the first button. Then I go into properties, make sure that I have properties selected for that button, and where it says text, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to say CA, which means clear all. And then I'm going to do the next button, which is this one. And for this one, I'm going to say CE. And I'm going to click on the next one. And this one is the exponential operation. And I'm going to pause until I finish. Okay, so we're done with this section. Let me see how it's coming up. And it looks better already. Next, I'm going to change the color of the text area, the background. Notice here that I have background as the second option. So I'm going to click on the, it takes 3 numbers. So I'm going to say 17, actually 73, 93, and 232, I believe. Let's enter, yes. And for the background, okay, so I'm going to make sure I select the background, and I don't have any buttons selected. So the pane, the panel, should be selected, and then for the background, I'm going to choose 50, 53, 55, and 70. See what colors that give me. Go ahead and preview it. Okay, and so let me run it again. Okay, so now it looks better. Now what I need to do is to change the color of the buttons. And then we are going to finalize the functionality or the code of the application. Okay, so that's it for the look of the calculator. Next, we need to add functionality to every single button and make sure that every time we press a number, we add to the total expression of the calculation. And then finally, when we press the equal buttons, we calculate the expression and we post to the text area. So now, if we notice that if I select a button, by default, it shows me the properties for that button. But in order to add functionality to every single button, I need to go into the code section. And here in the code section, there is a property that is very special, which is the variable name property. Notice that by default, the variable name takes the default name of the button, which is JButton13 or JButton9, etc. So we need to change that, because when we call that button, when we add functionality to that button, that is the name of the what we're going to use. So I'm going to call this one button 7, and basically what I need to do now is to change for every single button. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use the default for every single button, and as you can see, it's not very descriptive. So you want your code to be as readable as possible. So I'm going to click on number 8 now, and I'm going to change it to button 8. And I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to do the same thing for all my buttons. So I'm going to pause. Okay, so for these two, this one is clear entry, which clear the last entry the user made. So I'm going to call it button clear entry. And this one is for clear all. This one will clear the whole expression. Call it button clear all. So that's the difference between these two. The rest, basically the button plus the number, and for the expression expression, I selected button plus that specific, I forgot the name, it's not expression, it's for that operand, that's the word for the operand. Actually, we have operands and operators, plus multiplication are operators, and then the numbers are operands. So the next thing we want to do is to add the functionality to every single button. So in order to add functionality, notice that as soon as I double click on a button, it takes me to the code portion for that button. It'll create the method. Notice that this method is automatically created every time I double click on an element, and then I can add the functionality for that button. Now notice that the function or the method for that button is button 7 action perform. And so this is kind of similar for every single button. Every time the user presses a button, there are two things that we need to do. The first thing that we need to do is to get the value of that button. In this case is the value number 7. And we need, the second thing that we need, actually we need to do three things. We need to get that value. The second thing that we need to do is to add the value to the overall expression. And finally, we need to display the expression to the text area. So let's go ahead and get that value. In order to get the value, we are going to add a few variables here first. So I'm going to come at the top of my class right here, right at the beginning of the class, and I'm going to add my variables here. So I want to add a variable called a type string, and I want to name it expression, and it is a string. And the other one is also a string, and this one is going to be total, and this one is going to hold the final result of the operation. And I'm going to come down to the method for the 7 button, and I'm going to add the number that I press onto the expression. So I will say expression equal actually it is plus equal, because I need to continue add to the expression. and then I'm going to say button 7, which is the name of the variable for that button, dot, and I'm going to use the get text method, and that's going to get the value of that button. And the next thing that we need to do is to pose to the text area. So I'm going to say, I don't know if I added a variable for the text area. So I'm going to click on the text area, and I'm going to click on code. Notice that I need to set the variable for the text area. So I'm going to call it text area. And I'm going to go back into the source code, and then I'm going to the text area, set text to expression. And that's basically it for every single button. But the equal button is where we're going to perform the final operation that we've added here. So I'm going to continue doing all this button. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to resume when I get to the equal button. Okay, so I finally added all my methods. Now I need to copy, since the process is pretty much the same, what I need to do for every single button. This one is button 9 perform. I can copy that, but instead of button 7, this one is button 8. And this one is button 9. And so on. I'm going to do the same thing for every single button. Now remember that some of those buttons are division, multiplication, so you make sure that you change the variable name according to every single action. Okay, so we have arrived to the equal button method, and for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to keep going with this tutorial, this video. So I'm going to use a shortcut. I'm going to use the script engine, JavaScript script engine, which allows me to pass an expression and calculate the expression. But if you want to do this properly, the correct way to do this is to write a Java class that evaluates an infix notation expression. And I'm going to do a separate video on how to do that. But let's get done with this tutorial. So I'm going to use script engine manager, em equals new script engine manager, and this one requires me to import the script engine manager. Okay, so next I need to say engine manager equals em get engine by name, and here is JavaScript, and I need to import a package for this. Actually, it is a script engine. And I need to import script engine. Next, we can calculate the expression by saying total equals to manager eval, and then we pass the expression. But this is going to return an integer. And so let's make total an integer also. Let's go back into the beginning. Let's make it an int. Say it has a null value. Actually, Let's set it to 0. And this expression here, we need to surround it with a try-catch statement. And the error goes away. So now let's go ahead and run the app. Okay, so let's do 7 plus 3 equals 10. We can clear that. Then we can do a times a plus 2. Let's do times 5. So this should be 18. No, it's actually, yes, 18. Here we go. So that's it for this tutorial. That's for the calculator. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and as always, remember to subscribe, and thanks for watching.